I am starting recording. Hi, everybody. It's Elaine Nieberding, and this is Declutter Day 4, which means this is the fourth consecutive Monday that I've held a blab related to decluttering to transform my life. I could say for years and years and years, all I've ever been doing is been scratching the surface when it comes to tidying up my house. It's usually been before holidays when families, when family is coming to stay. And then, I sort some things out and push a lot of stuff behind closets. But um, only thin some stuff out seasonally when I'm putting clothes away, or when I get that occasional call from a charitable group saying, we're going to be in your area, and, do you have a box or bag that we could collect? And so sometimes I respond to that and give stuff away. But I've come to realize it was going to take a different level of commitment to make a change in my life and my habits. And so it was 4 weeks ago that I started this. And while I knew the Marie Kondo KonMari method was out there, and in fact had been a book that had been on the bestseller list for about a year, or it had been released for about a year, I thought, okay, I guess I should pick up that book and see why this way of approaching cluttering might be becoming so popular. Maybe it has a different kind of approach that is more effective. And essentially it's this. She says, this whole idea of tidying and just picking up and then picking up again and picking up again, it's not about that. It's really about transforming the way you experience relationship with all the stuff that you own and have around you. Imagine if you could be in an experience of a holy relationship, a happy relationship, a joyful relationship with all the stuff around you. How different would your life be? So I could say in my own, growing into adult maturity and going on my spiritual journey and, feeling into the depth and meaning of what's important in my life, I have come to realize that releasing judgment about stuff frees you, to then be in whatever kind of activity you're in with joy, but it doesn't necessarily move you in the place of changing other habits to simplify. And I got to the point of realizing I really had to make a different kind of commitment. So maybe doing it publicly, and kind of tracking my progress every week would be helpful to other people. And some people could also participate in the conversation. So I want to say hi to Todd Davis. Hey, Todd, thank you for finding this program and at least listening. If this is an arena or something you're working on and want to participate in the conversation, do let us know in the comment stream, and we might invite you in. But what I'd like to do first now is just talk a little bit about the journey of the last couple of weeks. The first week was making this public commitment to decluttering and inviting other people into the conversation. Then between the first and the second week, I did get Marie Kondo's book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and I started reading it. Like everything else, for things that you want to delve into deeply, you need to keep going back, reading it again, going over it again, because every time you read something, you will glean different levels of meaning. The one thing that Marie Kondo has suggested is that, if you commit a period of time to Here's what she says. If you use the right method and concentrate your efforts on eliminating clutter thoroughly and completely within a short span of time, you'll see important results that will empower you to keep your space in order forever. So, eliminating clutter means purging and clearing out a lot of stuff. And the first thing she teaches is when you're going through this category of sorting things out, you're going to keep only the things that spark joy. Obviously, you know, utility has something to do with it, but sometimes we find we have 5 or 6 or 10 of the same thing. And we don't need 5 or 6 or 10 of the same thing. Maybe we need 2, you know. So of those, which sparks joy? Which sparks joy? And it's like that for clothing and functional items in our kitchen. It's like that for books. It might even be like that for things like journals. And 2 weeks ago, I had an amazing gentleman jump in on the show. He's a hip hop artist named Rocco Steady. And he shared with me this amazing story that when he was over in Japan touring, you know, to do some music programs, you know, he had come by this book and had started exploring. And then he got really bold. He said, I'm here in Japan. Maybe I could talk with Marie Kondo. And lo and behold, he, you know, he did some thoughtful things and some creative things, and he had some personal time with Marie Kondo. And Marie Kondo suggests that when we're doing this major decluttering, that we don't do it by physical area. You don't start it like in one room of your house. You start with a category. So, and she suggests people actually start with clothes. And so you kind of have to create a staging area. You know, it could be a bed or a guest room, and you put all of your clothes in there. And you see how much that you have, and you get shocked. And then perhaps you realize how much out of control you are and how much of this stuff you might not need. So I want to welcome in Todd Davis, who has decided he was going to join our conversation. And hey there, Todd.
Hi, how y'all doing?
Hi. Have you been on some blabs before?
I have.
That's great. And where are you blabbing out from?
Oh, she got lost.
Oh, come back, Todd. Come back. He's come back. This is a good thing. And we'll see if his bandwidth is good enough to stay in. Welcome back, Todd.
I'm not sure it was my bandwidth, but I'm kind of certain it was a button or something I pushed and it went, wait a minute, you can't do that. You can't do that from here. Oh, I guess I got to mirror my, can you read what I have below?
Gold Star Clubs.
Okay.
For Todd Davis, something like that.
It looks very, very strange from this end. So it's.
Well, anyway, no, it's the right way. But are you using ManyCam or something else? Okay. Apparently, you know, you got to play around with the ManyCam so you get it in a size and a position. So if people have, you know, do the props, they can still see your name and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's not too readable. You're going to have to tweak it.
Yeah, for sure.
Farther along than I am.
It was just, I just got it today, and I just bought it today, and it was like, well, I need to go on and ask these ladies a question. I only heard a part of it. So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So hold your question for just a second, because first of all, I want to say I'm not a Marie Kondo expert. I'm a Marie Kondo novice. I'm exploring this, you know, but I know a lot of other people have issues with clutter, and it's not only you know, physical clutter. It's even like computer files and photos that we save and books and I tell you, with, being on the internet, there is this, everybody's talking about it lately, FOMO, the fear of missing out. So it's like, oh, I better snatch this while I can. And, oh, I better snatch that while I can. And the truth is, you can't read it all. You can't do it all. You can't enjoy it all. And after a while, you just end up losing stuff. So I've been into my process for a couple weeks. I have gone through the first step, which is a clothes purge. And of course, these things don't happen in a vacuum. You're doing it in your house where you've got other things going on. And I'll share a little bit more about my process with the clothes. I thought I was going to get to books this weekend. Well, it didn't happen. So what is your question, Todd?
Well, you were talking about moving clothes out into another bedroom. And I think that's an awesome idea. My wife and I just were having this conversation this morning. My desk is I think I have a desk somewhere. And my thought was, what do I do to get started? I have tried to pick it up and pile it somewhere and then gently put it back, but then I need the other somewhere and I put the pile back and I'm just kind of caught in between. So I have I won't even show you because it's sad, very sad.
Okay.
My drawers are relatively organized.
You are at your leading edge. You are addressing the issue at hand. This is a good thing. Continue.
Can I say something here?
Go ahead. Yeah.
So I have worked as a clutter buster for clients for about 2 years. Did you know that?
I didn't.
No,
I didn't.
And so I did that I didn't know that beforehand, but I did that to clean up my own clutter. So by helping others. And I got some clients that had you could hardly get into the house. There was like a little tiny path. There was stuff. And then one lady in particular, she had a hard time to walk, and she sat down all the time. And she's a good friend of mine. She was a good friend of mine. She's passed away now. And her house was filled with stuff. And I went into the kitchen and trying to clean up the kitchen counter, and there was archaeological layers with newspapers, mouse traps, older newspapers, and it was I felt like an archaeologist cleaning that up. It took a whole week to just clean a little area in the kitchen, but I felt so good because she wasn't able to do it. She couldn't. It was too much for her. And she was so grateful. And even though it was a really dirty work, I felt good actually helping her with that. And then I had other clients who wanted to have this done. And then because I was there with the scour brush and the bucket and the vacuum cleaner and the garbage bag. And I put, when you asked Todd there, anything that you do not need, we put them in the garbage bag, and we're going to deliver them either in the garbage or to the thrift store. Yeah. And so this one lady said, no, we can't throw it out. No, okay, we can't throw it out. So then we says, we're going to give it away. So now we put it nicely in this garbage bags or plastic bags. And the first round, we had 5 garbage bags filled, the black. And so I told her, okay, so now you go and drive to the thrift store and deliver them there because they can help her to go. She could drive at that time, and then she did that. So it was like a whole car full load.
Yeah. So there was an emotional shift that began happening as there was a physical shift. And, if you're working with someone whose whole house is filled with that, so that it's even difficult for them to move around, I don't know whether they can start using the Marie Kondo method in the usual way, because they just have to clear enough space to eat, or to move around safely. And for some people it's like that. But I want to veer back a little bit more to the actual Marie Kondo method because this is the one I'm exploring. And let's just say we're dealing with kind of the average normal people who just collect, like me, you know, I'm in my early 60s, but I've collected stuff over decades, you know, for all the right reasons at the time, but, you know, they've been habits that now I'm recognized. I really have a readiness and a need to change. So
good for you. Good for you.
So Todd, you were saying, you know, you're just looking at your desk and your papers, and you know that's maybe a manifestation of, you know, just one area that you'd like to have some order. But and on any given day, you know, if you have bills to pay, mail to do, whatever, you are going to sort through that stuff, throw off the top heap, and, you know, and get to the most important things that you have to accomplish. You're not, with the Marie Kondo method, when it comes to organizing your papers and your files in your desk work area, she's not going to suggest that you start the method there. She suggests that you start out with your clothing, because clothing are, you know, they're functional, they're decorative, they're aligned with our personality, but they're pretty easy to make decisions about what to keep and what to go. And she also gives us guidance about how once you sort through stuff by, again, getting out of the mindset that could be very full of self-condemnation. Oh my God, I have so much stuff. Oh my God, I have so much stuff. Oh, why did I spend so much money, or whatever? Because that could go on for a lot of people. She encourages us, keep your focus on, oh yeah, I'm going to go through, because my aim is I'm deciding what's going to keep me joy. What's, you know, what sparks joy. So you sort through the stuff. She suggests, you know, if you have family members who might want to make the decisions for you about some stuff.
My wife would love to make those decisions.
Right. No, but you have your own you know, she can comment, but it's really your job, and it's really your process to decide what to keep and what to go. And so Marie Kondo will say, you know, get black bags, get opaque boxes, because when the stuff goes in there, you don't want somebody else going in there attempting to change your mind about the value of something, or how much money you've spent, or the sentimental value. That's your work. You know, if you live alone, it's probably no problem. Yes. Oh, she's going. Anyway, so I started with clothes, and I, you know, when I was making my seasonal change a couple weeks ago, getting out my winter stuff and putting away my summer stuff, I did a purge then. That was before I found the Marie Kondo method. So then I went through in this different way, what sparks joy. And, you know, I now have a single closet in my bedroom, which is, it's not a massive bedroom. It's maybe, you know, 15 by 17 feet with, you know, windows on one side and a bank of, you know, folding door closets on the other. But I feel so good because with my purge now, there is actually space between the clothes hanging up.
Nice.
And I've realized I need far less than I thought I needed. And, you know, I've now folded things and rolled them in the vertical way that she suggests, so you can see things easily. And she actually also suggests people, you know, that every time you pick up your socks, you know, you experience this, like, talk to your socks. You give appreciation for the ones that you're keeping. And though this may seem a little too woo-woo for some people, I've done enough in energy work and consciousness work where I know I can have a sense of communion or even communication with physical items. You know, I just dare to ask, do you belong in my life? Do you want to stay? Do you really want to stay? Can we spark joy together? And I begin to feel that. And now it's getting easier. So with clothing, does that sound like a good place to start?
It is. My wife was going through a second closet that we have where we put our stuff that we don't know what to do with. And she pulled out a couple of old suits. I mean, really old suits. And she pulled out a blazer. And I said, wow, that was a really nice blazer. And she said, well, are you sure you don't want to try it on? I'm wearing it today. It fit perfect. It was like, why did I stop wearing this blazer? And I couldn't remember why, but somehow it got into the not wearing closet. And anyway, great blazer. And anyway, so yes, we're going to do that. She said, well, you know, honey, we ought to pull all that stuff in the back of the closet out and see what's back there. And I said, you know, that is a good project. But I was getting ready to go to work as she was. And I said, do you want to do that now? And she went, no. Let's do it when we have some time and grubby jeans on. So I said, that would be a good idea. So,
yeah. So, again, how you look at your stuff might be different than how she looks at your stuff.
Oh, I tried on some of the suits that she had, and I was saying, oh my gosh, I can't get my arms in anymore. So yeah, it's.
But I do recommend that, you know, that you pick up this book, or, you know, Google search and start reading some of the articles about the method, because this woman, and she must be in her late 20s or early 30s. When you watch her on video, she looks like this tiny, petite, sweet young thing. But this became a passion of hers since, you know, when she was younger than age 10. And wow. It evolved into a business where, you know, she started helping people. And she said, and she has worked with individual clients. And typically it takes months if you really want to pare down all the stuff to the simple essentials that you need for keeping your life sparked in joy. And, you know, your physical environment changes, your habits change. I mean, imagine that you just have the stuff so that everything has a place. Everything has a place. Like when you come into your house, where you set your pocketbook has a place. Where you put your keys has a place. And she says most storage systems are aimed at people are for hoarders. And she says it's most of these systems that are out there for reorganizing your life don't aim at simplifying. And her whole method is really related to you know, transforming your emotions and your habits and the way that you experience your relationship with your environment every day. So in the little bit that I did with my clothes, okay, all my clothes, and it, you know, took 2 afternoons, and like yesterday, I was now at the point of taking the clothes and bagging and boxing them up to give away for donation. And as I did that, you know, I was kind of in gratitude for all the things I was releasing. I was saying thank you to each one of them for, you know, at the time, there was a purpose how they came into my life. Some of them sparked more joy as I had them. Some of them may have sparked no joy. But how good it felt to, you know, spend like an hour and a half last night as I was doing that, just in that flow of kind of gratitude. So now that has fueled me, because I now look at 2 different closets and my drawers. And of course I get dressed every day. So I'm reinforced by my forward movement. I thought I was going to be ready to start on books, because books is the second area that she suggests. Well, I have a lot of books. There have been times when I look at my collection of books, I think in some former life, I must have had something to do with the library at Alexandria, which burned, you know, and it was like all this wealth of world wisdom collected up to that point in time, whenever it was.
Yep.
And like, so now it's like, I just can't let go of books. Okay, well, I'm willing to let all of that go, because think about it. So much of the information we've collected in books, it's available on the internet.
That's right. That's why we don't have encyclopedias anymore.
Right. That's why we don't have encyclopedias. We can Google anything to find out anything. And so I have to get bold, and I have to get trusting. And I also, this for me will be a very deep exercise in trusting. I would call it my intuition, and in my trust in divine guidance, which in some areas of my life, are just very clear and very strong. But, as I look forward to days and years ahead in my life to be a healing and helpful presence in the world, I may have human ego-driven notions about what I think is important to save. But if I'm willing to, and for me, this is part of my belief system, just get in touch with deeper wisdom, a core of divine guidance, I may not even understand when I go through my books and I hold each one up and say, okay, God, help me, keep or stay, where I almost get my thinking out of the process.
Yep.
And I look for a signal that I feel inside that says yes or no. And I trust that. Sure. And then after I've sorted them down, then I will sort them by categories. And at this moment, I have to trust, I don't know how many books it's going to be necessary for me to keep. My ego and my thinking is telling me, oh, you're a writer. Oh, you're a researcher. You have all these books on this topic.
Google comes to mind.
And that topic. And yet, when I look at all the books that I've saved, thinking I would use them over the last 15 years, there's a hell of a lot of them. Nope.
I hear you. Elaine, I've got to jump off, but I appreciate your comments, and I will get a copy of that book. It sounds like a great one. Marie.
Get a copy of the book. And
tell me her last name again. What's her last name again?
Marie Kondo, Kondo.
Okay, cool.
And it's consistently been on the bestseller list for many of the last months.
Excellent. All right, I will do that. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Top back and give us some report. How you doing?
Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate it. Take care. Thank you. So Todd was with us for a little while and just jumped in on the spur of the moment. And let's see if anybody else might be willing to jump. Hello. So I think I am recording again. Marie Kondo, once again, suggests that when we go through this decluttering process, we really kind of, really focus our attention on it to do a massive purge over a relatively short period of time. And while I've seen what it took for me to get through my clothes in the last 2 weeks, I realized it took more time than I thought, but yet now I feel like I have some emotional movement and some upliftment that I've been able to go this far. But now I have to start looking at my staging areas for doing some of the sorting and decluttering a little differently. Last week, I used my son's bedroom to sort out all of the clothes. My son is 32. Right now he lives overseas. And I thought I would be seeing him again in December to come home for the holidays. And I just heard from him a few hours ago that he's coming home November 12th, even in advance of Thanksgiving. which now means that for this convenient room to be available for me for doing my staging, for my sorting out of stuff, my window for doing that is narrowed. So it feels like a fire has been lit underneath my buttski with regard to continuing on with the Marie Kondo project, my decluttering. And so I can now imagine that between now and November 12th, when he's coming back, where that room will have to be free, because I think he's actually going to be with us probably through the end of the year. Okay, I'm going to take advantage of having that room. And so I guess the next step for me is to consider using that area for my book sorting. And I now see that I have Mayana Stevenson watching. Hey, Mayana, love your Blog Aid series. We're talking about the Marie Kondo method of decluttering. And I've recognized that for me to put out my best work and service into the world, there's a heck of a lot of stuff I need to get rid of. And so I'm on week 4 of my decluttering, doing the Marie Kondo process, and, you know, indeed discovering things about myself along the way. So I'm wondering who else is out there that has stuff. Mayana, I'm wondering if you have any questions about this. If you would like to jump on in, please do.
Thanks so much.
Hey, lovely.
How you doing today?
Well, I was having some technological difficulties with getting started, but you know, here I am.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. That definitely happens. I understand that completely.
Yeah, so we've got to laugh our way through, and I had another laptop with a bigger screen, and I thought, oh, that's going to help my aging eyes, you know, read these comments easier. Well, and then I just could not get my Logitech camera to turn on, and I'd already started, you know, the event. So I had to quickly run on out and call a friend and say, would you come in? Would you host for me so I can go out and come back in and not risk losing the event?
Right. Yeah, that's a big problem. I hope they get that worked out, because, you know, a lot of people do have tech glitches. I've had them myself. And as a matter of fact, right now I've decided to, when I want to just jump in on Blabs during the day, it's a lot easier sometimes to do it from phone. And so I thought I'd give that a try. And, you know, you can tell this is a work day for me. I am not dressed for success, kind of a thing. You know, it's a work day. It's cold here, so I like it. Was getting cooler, and I like my flannels on and whatever. But I was real interested in your decluttering thing. You know, my mom passed last week, and so or week before. And
so
I'm sorry.
Soon.
Yeah. Let's see, what is today? It's just all a blur. Yeah, 2 weeks, a week and a half ago. And you know, we had already she was in full-time care. She had Alzheimer's, and she was in full-time care. So we had already gone through her whole estate, and I had already been helping. You know, I was her primary caretaker and already been helping and going through stuff and whatever. But I'm telling you, a few years ago when we had to move her out, that decluttering, it made me want to go through my house and do the exact same thing and get rid of stuff that I hadn't even touched in 10 years. Not that I'm a pack rat, but you know how you put things away that you don't need right that minute. And so I was going through the rest of her things, of course, you know, with settling out her estate and that sort of stuff. And it just really gave me an urgency about making sure that all of that is done for mine too, and decluttering out again to make it easy on the people who are after me. So it's not just for you, you know, so much with the decluttering, but for anybody else too. And I have found I'm a very neat person anyway. And so, you know, my space is decluttered except for my art rooms, and they're train wrecks because that's the way art is, you know, with things. And you can't create art if you have to worry about making a mess. Making a mess is half the fun of that. But I find that I like a tidy environment, and that's a reflection of the inside of me. My outside environment is a reflection of my inside environment, and I do like a tidy type of space to be in. But it's all of those closets and, you know, different things that I'm not seeing every day, and those need to be cleaned out too. So I was very interested in your topic because of recent events.
When I started out, I basically, you know, I said, I have to do this publicly. It's like my public is my accountability partner, or my schedule is my accountability partner, because if I'm saying it and I get other people involved in the conversation who also feel the need to continue the process or go deeper or get sparked again to reignite the process that is stalled or died on out, that I could do that. So about the second weekend, then I found this Marie Kondo book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And she explains in the book why the usual methods of addressing it don't work. There are all these great storage systems around, but people typically end up keeping even far too much stuff. And, you know, so her process aims at simplifying. And she says, like, don't start out in a room. Start out with a category. Collect all the stuff of one category in one room. Get shocked by how much there is of it. And you might have to go kind of, you know, sort down by subcategory. And
I did that this weekend. I did that this very weekend. Joy. Yeah, I did that this weekend. I went through every file folder in the house. I mean, every one. And it wasn't just, you know, with my mom's stuff, but with all of my own, from running businesses and, you know, all the different things, my artwork stuff and all the things that I do and client stuff and old things from like 10 years ago. And I don't need it, don't touch it, just get rid of all of it. And I am telling you, I'm sore today because that paperwork is heavy. And I'm going to have a bonfire, I think, to celebrate getting out all of this stuff that I don't need, you know, and just keep down to the minimal.
Yeah. And what you're telling me, Mayana, is that you've been pretty good at keeping what you've had organized, but now you just realized far more than you need, and going through it takes a decision. But I mean, don't you feel freer?
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, it's just wonderful to haul that out to either the recycle or I about burned up the shredder, you know. And I got to the point, I've got 2 big boxes of stuff left that I really, there's a shredding facility here, and it will feel so good to unburden. Oh, I love it.
Oh, well, yeah, you know, I don't have a little, you know, Twitter bird on a stick to handle, but I do have this little owl. So I thought, you know what? I haven't once yet reminded anybody. Just like, let's tell a little bird.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Who else might show up?
I don't see that as readily. I'm not used to doing these on phone, and I'm not seeing that as readily as I do when I'm on my computer. So yes, put it out for you. I don't see nearly as much on here, but yeah, it feels wonderful to unburden. I thought I was moving about 2 years ago, and the deal ended up falling through on both sides, but not before I had buddies over to help me pre-pack. And I decluttered so much then. It was wonderful to get rid of all of that. And the overwhelming majority of it I gave away. And I mean, it was stacked about 5 feet tall and about 4 feet wide and 3 feet deep. Even the guys who came to pick it up for, you know, the nonprofit, whatever, took one look at it, was like, whoa. You know? And it was stuff that I've been keeping from Mom, you know, stuff that I hadn't touched in a long time. And that was the biggest part of it, because I was downsizing and I wasn't going to have the storage room. And it was really wonderful. I haven't missed any of it. Not a bit. You know, it's great.
One of the things we found ourselves talking about last week, I don't know, in one of the previous sessions, Chef Dennis was on, and we were talking about how if your house is very cluttered, you can have a great experience. Remember the feeling of freedom and spaciousness when you're going away to like a hotel, and really, or on vacation. You know, you have like 2 suitcases or 1 suitcase. And I know when I go on a trip, I like to unpack it and I'll have fun, like putting the space in. I can find everything easy. I have that sense of spaciousness, actually, and I'm very good at keeping things tidy. And so remembering that feeling is an important key to fueling your movement, because you can come back into your own space and then, start just dredging up all the negative self-talk again and again and again.
I don't have a lot of negative self-talk. That doesn't accompany me. Me and it don't get along very well.
No, so you lovingly send it away, flip it out, whatever, and that's great.
Yeah, well, it's been a lot of, looking at things that had, just like anything in life for me, when change needs to happen, is this served its purpose and very well, but it serves no longer. And now it's just taking up space and keeping me from bringing in all the stuff that will serve now. And that's kind of the way I look at it. I'm a professional composer. I've got music playing in 14 countries, or did. I don't know how many they're playing in now, but
you're just a Renaissance woman, Mayana.
I hear that a lot. I get that a lot. But I still have and I'm a multi-instrumentalist, and I sold off during that move. I sold off a lot of the instruments that I no longer play. I think I'm down to 4 at this point. And I still have an empty cello stand for one that I took up, but had a shoulder injury that knocked me out of it for a while. And I want that one back, but at some point. But I have a full studio too, and that stuff is just dusty at this point. I'm thinking that's it was my life, but it is no longer, and hasn't been for years.
I know.
And why am I holding on to this?
Now you're the blogade queen, and I mean a techno geek, and you do your Geek Speak guys with Susan, or is it Susan?
Yeah, and I mean I came into the world an intuitive and a musician, and writing books and doing art, and I'm internationally recognized wood carver. I mean, I still do all of that stuff, but I was also an electronics engineer for 30 years. So I've got both sides of it, but the tech stuff is just about all anybody knows of me, except for folks who found my wood carvings. But I don't do some of that art stuff like I used to in the music. I've moved on to doing carvings and paintings and writing and things like that. So it served. It was a good, fun time in my life, but I'm probably ready to get rid of all that equipment.
So when you were mentioning, doing all this creative, inspirational work, I would imagine you might think it could be hard to let go of some of those creations, or not pay attention to them in the same way. 2 weeks ago,
not the creations. I don't think it's the tools to do the creating.
Okay. Well, here was this guy that came on the show 2 weeks ago. He's a hip hop artist, Rocco Steady.
Yeah.
And when he was in Japan, he had gotten this book and was starting to go into it. And he said, I would like to meet Marie Kondo. Well, she is now an international figure with probably lots of gatekeepers and, but he got through to her while he was in Japan on a music tour, and he spent some time with her. And then he came back and he spent 2 weeks, on his living quarters, and just went through and purged everything. And he said he feels like a completely different person. His space is different, but he was so compelled by his time with Marie Kondo to even, fully rely on this intuitive guidance, even hold up like a journal where he had, thoughts that he thought, things he had journaled that might be the basis for musical inspiration. And he got as trusting as to pick up the journal and basically ask divine guidance, whatever, keep or stay. Go.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, what a lesson about being in the moment.
Right.
that you will be given everything you need in every moment. And he said he found the process very emotional. There were times as he was going through this release, asking for each item, does it spark joy? You know, crying, cathartic. Sometimes you realize this attachment to stuff and you don't want to let it go. Anyway.
Yeah, with my music stuff, for me, it was such a way of life and such a huge part of me. I mean, I came into the world playing. My dad's whole family were professional musicians, and I've been playing since I could sit in somebody's lap and composing since not long after that. And it's so much a part of me, and it's been such a huge part of my life that I think that's the reason I've held on to that stuff, is someday I may revisit that if I ever get time. And, you know, there's just no huge pull to do that anymore. And over the years, I think I've realized that. As a matter of fact, my studio was the prime room in my house, and I've moved it to the basement. It's just, you know, I just keep going step down, step down, step down. And I'll go back and play with some of the instruments a little bit, but I've lost my chops. So it's not even really fun. My thing right now is there's no way that I could afford to replace it if I ever do get the time. And so that's more or less what it's about as far as keeping it. Is it would cost way too much money to try to replace it. And so I just keep it hanging out. It's not hurting anything, and just leave it be for the time being.
Yeah, and we do gain a perspective on how much stuff we have when we start going through the stuff of our, you know, of our parents, of those that, you know, are in decline, and we know, they can't take it with them, and it's here. So, you know, how do I do that? How do I decide which of their things are meaningful for me to keep? And I tell you, it's difficult when sentimentality gets in the process. Marie Kondo actually suggests that you go through a lot more utilitarian stuff, clothes, functional items in your house, and you get comfortable with the process of letting go of stuff, because it gets trickier when it's, you know, when it's data and sentimental items, you know, that gets trickier.
Yeah, I haven't had much trouble, you know, getting all that stuff. I was glad to see it all go. I was glad for the help. You know, I had a couple of buddies come in, and I was glad to see it all go. And it's like, man, I feel lighter already. And like I said, I was planning on downsizing. When the deal fell through and I was stuck here, I'm still not missing anything. I still had plenty. And I planned to get rid of more, but I stopped because it looked like the deal was getting squirrely. And I'm glad I did, because I didn't want quite an empty house. But there was something extremely attractive about getting rid of all of it and kind of new furniture, you know, new digs, and setting up for there and keeping it smaller, having a simpler life. There was really a big attraction to that. And, you know, I'm in some ways sorry that I couldn't finish that process, but I did need to keep what I've got. And I've still been going through and getting rid of even more. And yeah, it's a process. I don't really have any negativity tied up in it, and I'm at that point in my life where I'm ready to live lighter. So it's okay with me. But I understand. The one that I took out of my ears, the microphone. I'm sorry. That probably sounded terrible. That sounds better, doesn't it? I'm sorry. You should have let me know. I've got them in the opposite ears.
You know, it wasn't very long.
Okay. So,
Mariana, the thing I had a great surprise about 2 hours ago. I got a little notice from my son saying he was coming back to the States from Germany on November 12th. I thought he was coming through on December. So what's the staging area for my sorting out my decluttering stuff? His bedroom. Well, I now have that room for you for about 2 weeks and 2 days. So it's lit a fire under me. And you know what? Yeah. I may even be a lot less on social media in the next 2 weeks to just focus and clear and focus and clear, because every bit of clearing that I do will facilitate any of the time I spend anywhere on social media and my programs. Being clear, being more focused, not having all this inner stuff rattle around.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody's got a junk drawer, a junk room, a junk, whatever, a junk closet, and everything. I'll deal with that later, stuff. And boy, that can really pile up. That I'll deal with it later. I've got a client, a site client that is a professional organizer. Nobody can convince me that she's not a shaman because of the healing work that she does. I was shocked when I found out how much emotional work is involved in organizing. And it's probably a lot. I'm sorry I didn't catch your whole show, but I mean, it's probably a lot of what they deal with in the book. And I have a hard time relating that because I don't have those kinds of attachments. Even like you were saying to the things I produce. Yeah, I think being in the music business got me over that a long time ago. If you just put it, it's such a fake world, and you put it out there, it has its own feed. It lives in the world all by itself, and people have whatever reaction they have to it, and I have to not care whether anybody else likes it or not. I wrote it because it moved me, and just produce stuff. And fortunately, other people liked it enough to pay for it. So that was great. But I'm going to produce what I produce. I'm not trying to make a full-time living off of it. And when I did, that changed things for me. But I don't have those same emotional attachments to things probably because of that. We also moved quite a bit as I was growing up, and not like the army brat kind of thing, but enough that I had a certain set of people around me for a few years, and then another set, and then another set, and then another set. And I kept doing that all the way through my adult life. And I don't have those same attachments. I enjoy people in the moment. I enjoy things in the moment, and can let things go. But from what she was saying about her site stuff and what I've read on her site and what she says about her clients, the emotional clearing that is attached, the emotional stuff we attach to stuff, our inner being and our outer environment, is extremely connected. And I was just surprised at the level of social work. It like you said, it has nothing to do with organizing the stuff as much as it does is reorganizing the inside of you in your thinking.
Well, right. It's like inner and outer. There's a mirror. On the other hand, it's occurred to me in autumn, at least here in the northern hemisphere and in the colder climes, where you have the deciduous trees that are shedding their leaves. It's messy. The stuff comes down, and the leaves come down in their own time. Even you could think every leaf on every tree kind of has a perfect divine time of which it's going to be let go. And the last leaf on the tree isn't up there thinking, oh, I'm the last one to go. It's like it's going to go when it goes. The wind and the wind is going to blow stuff. And if you're the person who has a yard and you're going to rake leaves, you can have the best of intentions to think it's going to go kind of like this. Oh, I'm going to rake this 3 bags today and burn the leaves or compost them or whatever. And a storm may come upon, or the wind may whip up, and it may be, the process may have a different dance to it than you imagine. And so you got to go with that.
Ain't that the truth?
Just like, I could say my son announcing that he's coming home earlier. Well, it's like the wind is going to blow here fast.
There you go.
And maybe get the process going in a way I hadn't imagined. And that's okay. Because ultimately, what goes on individually is also a mirror of what's like going on in the larger planet. People are finding, I just got to clear out the stuff that doesn't work, the stuff that doesn't serve me.
Right.
And let it go, without feeling bad. It's going to find its own space. I can experience joy and, and grief in the process as I also let go of the perceptions that I've had of myself. So it's just another part of the healing journey.
When I let go of a lot of that musical gear that I haven't touched in a long time, including a nice sound system, to carry on the road and whatever, a dad came and bought it all because I just put it in one big lump. It's whether you want all of it or not, it goes as one thing. And there's not going to be any piecemealing this, it just goes as a lump. And he was thrilled. He's starting a band with his son. And, he was just absolutely thrilled. He said, man, this is a better saxophone than my kid has. I'm thrilled for this. And here's another guitar for me. And, here's our Rhodes system and blah, blah, blah. And a keyboard, we got a keyboard player in. And they were just thrilled with it. And it set up a whole little band, kind of a thing. And that was a lot of joy to know who bought it and to see it trade like that and what was going to become of it. And, it's like, well, that served me. It's like in Toy Story, toys are made to be played with, and make sure that somebody has them that's going to, put some joy into the world for them. And they served me, and now they serve them in bringing more joy. And so that was really wonderful to know that story. So, well, Lane, it looks like getting on the phone is the way I have it propped up here. I didn't have it plugged in. It's telling me I've got a low battery.
No, but it worked really well. And yeah. I started just about an hour ago, and I actually said this week I was going to keep it to about an hour because these blogs can go on and on and on. If people are coming in and having conversation, it's good. In terms of replay, I can't imagine that folks watch the replays for hours and hours and hours. Really?
Well, you can fast forward those too, so that has something to do with it.
You can. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so they can get them in far less than an hour.
Yeah, if so when people are, like if you're looking for a particular person, yeah, sometimes it's a little tricky finding where they are in the feed. But anyway, Anyway, thank you for dropping in, and it was really great, seeing these other dimensions of Mayana and the other stuff you've done, because you are really focused, and every time I watch you, I just notice how clear you are and what a bright light you are. So
thank you very much. I appreciate that. Appreciate it. Glad to get to talk to you too. We don't get to do that enough. So it's really wonderful.
And maybe we'll get together privately and talk about some other hangouts and other things too.
Okay, that'd be great.
All right, take care. So I'm just going to finish on up and say, where are you today in your journey to simplifying your life and opening up to more joy? If you feel the inner nudge to start decluttering, do it whatever way you're led to. But if you're coming back here, I do want to bring the focus on back a lot to the life-changing magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. If you pick up the book and you find it's some help to you, you can also even do Google searches on YouTube, and there are people that have done video little mini exposés of their befores and after, and they've also shared their stories, and that may help fuel you along. I expect I'm going to find one or two of those that will help me, again, kind of finish up the aspects of the clothes portion that I have started, and do the storage components of the clothes. But then my next step is books, and I'm going to light my fire to get a lot done in the next couple weeks. We'll have another gathering next Monday, as far as I know. So come on back and explore Declutter Day with me. And good luck to you in your declutter journey.